TSMRadio.com, where your voice matters. We have our special guest with us tonight, Mr. Sean Hoggs, the author of The Bastard Child.
Yeah. Speaking of which, your wife just logged into the chat room. She said she wants to support you and say, I love you.
Aww.
So I love her too, and the rest of the crew back there in Columbus. Everybody's like, where?
I'm like Columbus, New Jersey. I'm trying to think.
It's on the opposite side of Bordentown.
Oh, okay.
So, exit 7.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. I really thought you were talking about Columbus Ohio.
Oh.
But I did want to, if I could real quick, I forgot one person was, and he really, when it comes to hip hop, he's a polarizing figure on the world stage, and that's DJ Cheese. I think people need to really understand who he is.
Oh, yes.
And what he has brought to the development of hip hop. And let me tell you, he is still to this day a very humble individual. So Cheese, if you're watching, man, thank you for being there for Plainfield.
You know what's funny about Cheese? I got a funny story. Cheese is probably one of the most like quiet dude I ever see. Like, it's funny when you like get him on air. Like, he'll talk real low, yo man, and I'll be like, yo Cheese, you want to come on air? Nah man, I ain't coming on air. I don't want to come on air. And then when we went to the event where he was being honored in Plainfield, I'm talking to him, but like while we sitting down, he talking his ass off. He like, hey, yeah, man, you know this award here, this and nothing, this. I'm like, yo, want to do an interview? No, man.
and again, without Cheese, there'd be no BKS. It's because of Cheese is why I got into the whole DJ.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah.
You know, he knows the whole story. So
and I know he's gonna be mad at me for this, but he actually sat on the advisory board for the Boys and Girls Club, and I bet you a lot of people don't know that. When I tell you he's a very humble guy, yeah. And we were there together, and I hadn't seen Cheese in years, and of course we embrace each other. We go back to Townhouse together. Big ups to the desert. You know who you are from back then. Wow. But you know, it was good to see Cheese there. Like I said, he's a very humble guy, but on the world stage, if you notice, you see folks with cheese, not cheese with folks, and that's for a reason. You know, Plainfield needs to understand that. So
yeah, a lot of people don't know the history. Like the younger folks, they don't know the history. You know, so they see Cheese and they see us talking about it, like, who's this guy?
Right. No, he is somebody.
Yeah. It's all good. All good. Well, if guys, you want to talk about the topic, we're gonna jump in it. You can call in. Our call-in number is 646-1302. That's 646-233-1302. All right, so we can dive in. Stace, you was making a point. You said basically that they do you do bring the money down with you.
It depends on the company. A lot of the pharmaceutical companies, State Farm, I know for a fact does. They don't change your money. They just send you. You know, they do a lot of stuff for you actually, but a lot of companies don't. I know other companies who just lay you off.
Because I think I put the blame on some companies, because companies is trying to get slick, and that goes with the minimum wage and everything too. Because the bottom line is this: you set the market of what you want to pay. You understand what I'm saying? So I formed this question: jobs that we take for granted, things like cashiers, things like I'll just use an example: deli personnel, people behind delis, people that are making this money. And I'm gonna be fair: I'm tired of it. I know we tip them, but waiters and waitresses deserve a little bit more than they get, because I'm telling you, they go through a lot. And I ain't gonna front. Sometimes I'm one of those customers. I'm very, I guess, ornery, because I want it done. And even though you can verify this with the restaurant in South Plainfield when Short Fuse was pissed on Adam.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot goes to that. So there's a lot of positions that the company, even though it says minimum wage, maybe you want to kind of say, all right, let me give this guy a little more.
My mother says, just at every restaurant, my mother's 84 years old, she said, just give $2, they'll be happy. Leave $2, Norman. I take my mother out for breakfast, whatever, and like the breakfast is like maybe $30, $40, right? Norm, leave $2. You putting too much. If I put down $5, she's like, that's too much. Leave $2. They'll be happy.
Yeah, I think particularly because in the last, I would say about 10 years, we've seen a big shift in terms of who's employed at minimum wage. It's no longer just your teenagers. You have people who are elderly on fixed incomes shaking your hand at Walmart. You know, you've got 40 40 and 50-year-old pizza delivery men. People trying to bridge the gap of what they are missing because they either don't have that, that great job that they once had. They might have two jobs trying to make, one salary. And I think because of that, that's why the attention is on minimum wage. You got people supporting whole families off of that little bit of money per hour.
I think that it scares the politicians for a couple of reasons. So I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. When you're talking about the companies and them giving all of their employees a raise all at one time, they get scared by that. So what happens is they start to look at ways to completely eliminate the positions. I don't know if you guys have been walking into your banks lately, but tellers are going away.
Good point.
Okay. If you walk into your supermarkets, cashiers are slowly but surely going away.
Self-serve checkout.
If you have gone to gas stations anywhere in the South and starting to head up here, gas attendants are going away. You're asking the companies to go to minimum wage and make that minimum wage, let's say $10. What are they going to do? They're going to think of a way to go completely away from that employee. That's just the way we're going.
Well, it's starting with the toll booths. Toll booths. They're about to do that now.
What do you have? You have maybe 2 people maybe working at the toll booths, maybe 3 at max, if that. Maybe the Parkway has more because the traffic on the Parkway is really heavy during, after 5 o'clock. But you get around 1 o'clock in the morning, there's nobody out there. Okay? Yeah. So now you're asking them to raise the minimum wage. Now, it seems like nothing to us, but as for a company, that's a huge factor. So what are they going to do? They're just going to add another easy pass lane to the highway and get rid of 2, 3, 4, maybe 50 employees, and then they'll raise the minimum wage. And yes, the employees who remain will be making $1 more and will be able to pay more in taxes. But now you just laid off maybe 50 to 60 people because of that rate increase. So I think that's why the politicians are a little scared.
I
on the fence about
I don't necessarily think that it's even because of that rate increase. It's because it's business, and the bottom line is always the bottom line. So they're looking on how they can increase their profits. But many of these corporations are making this money. Their CEOs are getting bonuses that are 6 figures. So the money is there. It's just top end heavy. It doesn't trickle down, and it all comes down, I think, to greed. And part of the we're going to have to change our education. There's a shift in the marketplace, so people are going to have to get skilled in different areas. If you're an unskilled worker, you are definitely going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel. So education, what you talked about earlier, that's going to be the key. People are going to have to learn new skills in different arenas. They're going to have to shift gears, shift careers.
Why can't we put pressure on our government to stop outsourcing? Outsourcing, to me, is one of the biggest economic downfalls in this country. If we stop outsourcing, giving jobs to India and China and this and all of that, the jobs will stay in our own country. So right now, I heard there's a little fines that the government are putting on certain corporations if they outsource or whatever, but it's not enough. If we come together collectively and say, look, stop taking jobs out of our country, all right, and shut that down, I think the economy would improve tremendously.
I'll tell you one thing that I do. When I call Sprint, I ask to speak to an American rep every single time. So much so that they no longer give me a rep outside. One time I called a month ago, and there was a girl who answered the phone. She was from Canada. I said, I didn't want to speak to you. I want to speak to an American rep.
But it starts like that. One little gesture like that, it starts like that. If everybody starts doing that, and then people start these petitions. I just found out that if you have X amount of signatures on petitions, that the White House has to take it seriously and they have to review it. We again, and y'all heard me say this before,
you have to take a stand.
But you have to take a stance, and we gotten too passive and everything. If we stand up for ourselves, and everybody's looking for this next leader to come along for us, no, we have to be our own leaders and then come together collectively to try in order to make change. We can make change when it comes to the economy. I'm telling you right now, because if we stop, our dollars is we don't realize the power of our dollar that we spend. If we realize that and we take away that from certain situations, they'll listen.
No.
Let me pose this question though. If I owned my own company and I wanted to do what I wanted to do, if I wanted to outsource, not that I'm disagreeing with you, but I'm just looking at it logically. The country is about freedom of choice and what I want to do. It's my company, so I should be able to do what I want to do.
Yep.
I don't think it's right. Let's say Daniel Snyder. I'll just use him as an example, the owner of the Redskins. Now, there's things where people are saying they want his name changed. And he stands up and he says, listen, I want the Redskins. I own it. That's my team.
Right.
So is it right to dictate via that? Like, what is it that bad with the outsourcing? Like, States, I have no problem with what you're saying. You tell them I want to speak with somebody from the country. But theoretically, if the company is big enough, it is supporting this country while it's outsourcing also. Because somebody like a car company, they might be getting something made over here, but there's also still jobs being supplied here. So it kind of works.
Well, when you're talking about jobs like customer service reps,
Mm-hmm.
where our teenagers, our kids straight out of college, those are the type of jobs that they get. When you're taking those jobs to other countries and adults are doing those jobs in other country, but my teenager is paying a cell phone bill to Sprint, or I'm paying a cell phone bill, and my daughter can't get a job with your company, then I have a problem with that.
See,
Because that's a function that we're using here. You know what I mean?
the issue is here. Why do people feel as though businesses have to be morally obligated to do things? They're not. A business is just to be run to make a profit, and that's basically the point of a business is to make a profit and to succeed.
But you know what? But you have to look at the greater good. The greater good to me is, you know, when you're outsourcing. Okay, just say there's hypothetically 10,000 people, 100,000 people are unemployed. They all got skill sets that are valuable for the country, and those 100,000 jobs they're given to Japan or India or whatever, when that can be right at home. And see, America's biggest problem has always been they never take care of home first. And I know for me to say that, and you know you've been in the military and everything, but they just never take care of home first. You got to take care of home first, and that's the problem right now. So when we see all these homeless people and the unemployment rate is at 9.9 or 10 point, you know, some ridiculous number or whatever like that. We can control that. We can control it. But the thing is right now, if you outsource, just say again, Sprint. So Sprint can have 20 operators from America if they wanted to, whatever. But you know what? We paying these 20 operators $15 or $20 an hour. Whatever, where these operators in India
$5
will do it for $5
a day,
but that's
$6 an hour.
So what you're saying basically is the owners, the chairman of the boards need to be morally obligated to their own
There
country.
needs to be heavier fines, I think on these corporations. Okay, I agree with the freedom to a point. You know, so like when you know, we got to learn what, you know, all the embargo and trade things and all that. With all these different laws they have, we have to learn these specific laws to a point to be able to legislate and go back to, you know what? Okay, this corporation wants to outsource everything to China now, and all these clothes and stuff like that to China and get China workers. Then they're gonna have to pay a heavy fine. So that fine needs to be heavy enough where the American corporation would be like, you know what? Let me give some American people the jobs.
The fine word. I want to piggyback on what Norm said. I do believe, because they're not ever going to be able to stop outsourcing. You can't, because it's a business. And if you stop outsourcing, you stop what America stands for. But what Norm said, I do believe the fine. Maybe fine is not the word. They need to impose higher taxes.
There's already a fine.
And need to impose higher taxes on outsourcing jobs. That's, I believe, was the remedy to this.
Well, did anybody hear the president speak at the State of the Union this past week?
Yeah.
Okay, because he addressed outsourcing, and a couple of the things that he said was, yes, making more things here on, you know, the U.S. within the United States, but he also said that in terms of importing and exporting, that we need to build better relationships. We need to make it so that they take our goods as well. So it's not such a one-way street, so that we're able to export some of our goods to the degree that, you know,
they're bringing it.
But in a lot of cases, let's be honest, they don't need our goods. First of all, China is the biggest. What you call that when somebody duplicates?
Manufacture. Replica.
Reverse engineer.
Yeah. They can duplicate anything we do over here, and we've empowered China so much that they really don't need us. America's not that country they used to be. Right now, China, we owe China so much. We in debt to China. China got us by the
trillions.
Yes. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you. So at the end of the day, but this comes from us not coming from within our own. Just like Venezuela. Venezuela got plenty of oil, and it's cheap over there. Gas is cheap. We could be cutting some deal with Venezuela, whereas we getting the oil from them, and our gas could be like $1.99 or $1.50. It's 49 cents over there. It's 50 cents over there a gallon. The same gas we use. We're not being smart, and it goes back to what you said earlier with greed. The problem is with this whole country right now is greed down the line.
I agree with
starting at government level. It's greed.
So what they don't understand at the government level yet is that if it keeps going this way, people are going to lash out. It's not going to be a civil understanding to it. It's not going to be something people are just going to lash out like they do in Europe, like they do in it was some country that just had like a big riot because nobody was working. I think it was like Israel or something like that.
If you keep starving somebody, they gonna get food one way or another, whether by hook or by crook, because it's about survival. And I do think the thing I put the blame on, like I said, I think the government needs to impose. I agree. Stronger something. Put it in position that it makes these people think about.
You have
put
to
a mindset in. Like I can't stand, and I know this is still kind of chimed in with it. I think we got a lot of monopolies here in this country. I think, believe it or not, insurance agencies, I think are monopolies. It's crazy. Who's regulating that? Cable companies, monopolies. Yeah. Who's regulating the electric company? I mean, to me, the government is supposed to be doing these things because they make it hand over barrel. That's who's making a lot of money. I mean, think about the insurance. I just got to get this point across. This drives me crazy.
You see, I looked at you, right? She works for an insurance agent.
Okay, wow. I don't put you're working there, but my whole thing is, I remember Chris Rock did a commercial. I forgot what company it was for, and he said, maybe it was a comedy show. He said, "How the hell can I pay all this money for car insurance, never have an accident, and I ain't getting nothing back?" And I thought about that. I was like, you know what? You're right. Could you give me $100 back? Good job. You ain't have an accident this year. Here's $100. But nobody regulates that. I look at Jim Dolan.
Does that now?
Jim Dolan, the owner of Cablevision. He was basically saying, screw y'all, this channel's not going to go on. And I don't care what all y'all thought about it. I know all my children came on. I don't give a damn. It's just what I said. Ain't nobody... He came to an agreement. Finally, they came to an agreement. But if he didn't, tough luck.
Eat the cake anime.
So it's kind of crazy, basically. So I don't know. Sometimes I think our government, sometimes in certain things, kind of just play the back until something major happens.
Yeah, but again, man, we too quiet on a lot of it. Like right now, we're talking about it here. We complaining about it. We don't do enough. And that's the whole difference. Like even you was talking about that earlier. Is back in the day, how we handled things as opposed to now. And that's another thing. Back in the day, we was just more active. You know what I'm saying? We was with that fight the power type thing. Right now, everybody just talk. We talk and we move away from the situation and we look for somebody else to take the reins and run with it. We got to stop looking for people to take the reins and run with it. We got to run with it ourselves.
Well, you know where we're going to be in trouble? With our kids.
Oh yeah,
because the mindset is all based in the culture to a great deal, and they're not focused on where they need to be, mentally. 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. Right now everybody's hanging out having fun. Yes, they use social media. Yes, they're consuming a lot of technology, but we're not creating it.
But isn't it our bad too in a lot of ways too? Let's take some responsibility and blame, because America is all about being successful. So even now, we're sitting here saying, go to school, get your education. And what we say, make as much money as you can. Why? To live comfortably. So instead of encompassing or placing moral values to it, that's the goal of Be American. Even right now, if somebody came in right now and offered us money for BCAS 1 to do something, it would be a business decision that we would have to make. We wouldn't care about Let's be real honest.
Depending on how
It depends.
It depends.
Because what's a good business move? How many times you hear people say that?
Okay,
That was a
so-
great business move.
Like, let's take it to Bob Johnson when he sold BET to Viacom.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's a different.
That-
but see,
right
that's a different animal. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Something that you create and you envision, you have a whole different
Price tag. No, I'm sorry.
mentality when it
I'm
comes
just-
to it, because I will always be rocking this. I already had somebody say to me, let's take a show that you do on here and put this on something else. And I'm like, no, because then my whole thing is losing control of something.
Right.
And see, when people make these big mergers or whatever like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, if Bob Johnson would have kept a little control,
percentage.
the quality
Yeah.
of the content on BET
That's a good point.
would be a lot different.
Right.
And see, that's the thing. You know, I've never, come on, Soups, you definitely know I'm not about the money. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm about, this is our vision, this is what we want to do, whatever like that. We had a lot of people like, yo, want to come in and like,
I'm ready to be about the money. No, I'm just
Speaking
kidding.
speaking
I
about
feel you, but there's ways you could do it.
Go ahead, Fresh.
speaking about the kids. Speaking about the kids, T Hoggs in the chat room, your daughter says, I totally agree. I work for $1 billion company and we have outsourcers. At times, we do need the outsourcers, no matter how annoying they
Let
may
you
be,
take this, bro.
because the company has needs. We're not available 24/7. The outsourcers are there to handle the flow of customers at those times. They pay them less, and for the company, it's a win-win for them, because someone is there to serve their CX.
Right. I'll say this because there's in that instance anyway, and hello to my daughter, but there's a need or requirement that needs to be met that the company cannot meet. Now, when you bring up the question of outsourcing, is that outsourced out of the country or just out of the company? And if it's just out of the company within the U.S., then the U.S. dollar still stays here. But what I wanted to do is kind of stay along the same avenue as Norm, and we talked about BET, but let's think about this. And this is a powerful company that's been around for a long time. But when Budweiser, the king of beers, said goodbye to America,
Yeah.
think
Oh, they
about
did?
that. That's serious.
Yeah.
The jobs that were
They was
lost.
paying. They was paying.
Yeah.
They was paying $16 an hour back in 90 something.
Correct. And that was an establishment.
Yeah.
That wasn't just a company. You could just see the horses on TV and you said, that's Budweiser.
Yep.
If
That's
you knew a
America.
grown man who worked at Budweiser, oh, your father got a good job.
Right. And we know when we say good job, that's marriage material right
And
there.
that's benefits, decent pay,
Right.
Ford too.
Like Ford, yeah.
Ford too.
company
Right.
picnic. If a
Right.
job ain't got a
My
company
girlfriend whose
picnic,
father
you
worked
really
for
shouldn't be at it.
Budweiser.
But it goes to the argument. When the king of bears sells out abroad, what does that say about America? That
And who was
company
that,
is
Reagan or
selling.
Bush, who let him go?
I think that was Bush.
Bush.
I think that was Bush.
Yeah,
But see, that's the principle of the country, and that's what I'm saying. It's sort of like you're fighting what you stand for, almost, because the goal is, as I just said earlier, you're embedded to be successful in this country. That's why people come from other countries. So if you have the opportunity, and a lot of times CEOs, and start maybe not you because you're morally rooted,
Grounded.
but there's some that's like, even pharmaceutical companies. I hate the fact that there's been so many people just laid off of pharmaceutical companies. I got a friend right now at Merck who's sweating bullets. She just don't know when the hammer could drop, because next thing you know, they could be like, well, we're merging with so and so, we need to lay off 5,000.
This past weekend, they just laid off like 1,000.
It's crazy because they have no more. They just getting more money up top, like Sue said. It's top heavy.
Oh yeah, Pfizer. They called them up that morning.
They called them with the money.
Or they sent
That
them an
morning?
email. Yeah, they sent them an
No.
email, tell everybody.
As
comes,
it,
and then they laid them off.
laid
that
them
day.
all off.
So I don't know, man. That's in the minimum wage, and it gets back to what we were saying. The government has to pick up some slack. The other thing I can't stand is the temp agencies. Now we argue and talk about this all the time. Now, the reason I say that,
they're needed though.
Yeah,
fam,
they make money too.
here's the thing: they get you a job, but you ain't got no benefits. You making good money, and then they gonna lay you off in a couple of years to make you go somewhere else.
But you got to.
Is that a good job?
You got to have something. It's a stepping stone because I actually got hired permanent from a temp agency, back when I was in my corporate grind and all of that, and they help out. Even though like you getting paid $12 an hour and they making 20, you know what I'm saying? But still, they help you get in that door. And that's all a temp agency is. Look, we're going to get you in the door. If you that good of a worker, they're going to keep you there and they're going to hire you
But
permanently.
the numbers is so drastically weighed against you. For every one, there's 30 that they laying off saying, look, hold on. We got something for you. Here's a 2-day assignment. And you ain't got benefits. That's the thing that's kicking me in the butt.
You're not going to get benefits. You know what I'm saying? You got to, like anything else, you got to earn your benefits. you gotta be there like 6 months, a year, whatever like that. Okay, you are worthy too. For them to come to you, you are worthy of benefits.
But I was gonna say this time, if you understand that you're in the temp business, take yourself out of the temp business.
Yes.
Put yourself in a position where now the leverage is in your corner, where you can make the arguments and where they have to make you a job offer versus you saying, hey, I hope that I get some benefits. You got to empower yourself. Don't think one move at a time. And I say this to my students, and I say this when I mentor. Life is chess. It's not checkmate.
Absolutely.
And you have to have every move planned out. If this falls through, this is where I'm going. And at the end of the day, and I'll say this a million times over, if I have to work 2 jobs at $10 an hour to make $20 an hour, that's what I'm going to do to feed my family.
There you go.
So you have to, dig in that way. Or, as you alluded to, you increase that educational value of yourself and you put yourself in another market that way. But when you put yourself in a temp situation, you're going to get a temp byproduct from that.
Good point.
So take yourself out of that and say, you know what, let me put myself in a permanent situation or the leverage in my pocket where I can say, no, I want a job where I can get a job offer with a salary with benefits.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. The thing is that's never been me. You know what I'm saying? I've always been the type where I'm going to jump out the window and I'm going to take a risk. Since you know me, I've been like that. And I've worked in corporate America. And I've made my last corporate America job, I was making money. So happens it was in the financial market and they was doing layoffs. So at the end of the day, that's what brought me to, starting BKS1. At the end of the day, I said, I'm going to jump out the window.
Right, but you had a vision, though.
Yeah.
You didn't follow the rest of the salmon. You said, you know what? I'm going to step out.
I jumped out the window with my little 401k money and the rest of the money I had in the bank, and we said, let's do it. And
that's why if you're on Instagram and there's so many black-owned businesses now. Like kids, grown-ups are just opening their own businesses. They're doing their own online thing because the opportunities are not out there, even for the ones who are educated. The reason why I started doing the thing from Sprint was because so many of my daughter's friends and just other girls that I know from working my job who got master's degrees, RNs, they can't find jobs.
Right.
They're bringing nurses in from Asia and the Philippines and all these places for these jobs that these girls are going to school for here in the States, and they can't get those jobs.
Wow.
So I hear what you say about the education and everything, but I know tons and tons of kids who have gotten that education and did the things their parents told them to do, and they can't find those jobs.
I agree. The education is key. It's good to learn as much as you can, get the degree. I believe in all of that. But at the end of the day, we got to look at the current and the real situation.
That's right.
The real situation right now is that unemployment is high. These companies are letting people go. They're shutting down. That's the reality to it. What we need to be teaching people is how to empower yourself. And that's to me that's what we need to do. And at the end of the day, even I realize too, I'm gonna tell you what, and for me to say this, people gonna be looking at me like, wow. My team gonna be looking at me like, wow. Let me tell you my biggest, most valuable lesson was Hurricane Sandy. That was my biggest lesson in life, because what Hurricane Sandy taught me when we was out of power for 2 weeks, that the main thing I was concerned with was food, clothing, and proper shelter. You know what I'm saying? That's the main thing. Like, I needed to get to a place where I had some proper shelter because I ain't got no electricity. I ain't got nothing. You know, I needed to get some food. And my clothes, I couldn't wash my clothes or whatever like that. So let me get to a spot where I can at least buy, you know, some temporary clothes I could wear or something like that. But those three things said, you know what? If I had a side business that was in one of those, I probably could have made some money during Hurricane Sandy. No, I'm being honest. I'm being so honest, but that brought me back to the reality of what's important, because I can't run an internet business during a hurricane and all the power is out.
Right.
That's our business. That's the reality to it. So that's what I'm saying. It's about empowering ourselves and thinking smart. Now, if I bought cases and cases of batteries and had them on in cases of flashlights and this and this and that, I'll be a rich man. And that's what I'm saying. Thinking outside the box sometimes, being prepared for situations to empower ourselves. And I just can't get with, okay, we got to get this education, blah, blah, blah. That's cool. Get the education and all of that. I believe in all of that. But at the end of the day, we got to realize that the reality is nobody's hiring. We got to hire ourselves and create a situation.
Entrepreneurism.
Right. And there is, and it's kind of, you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and things like that. And, you know, to the point again with education, again, and I said, if I have to work two $10 an hour jobs and I have a little bit of education under my belt, I will work 2 jobs to feed my family. So, yes, I understand the unemployment piece. I understand the educational piece, but I also know how to hustle. Playing for New Jersey taught me how to hustle.
Absolutely.
So even if I had an $8 an hour job, I'm going to have 2 of those to make $16 an hour because I understand my responsibility. You're right. We need to unite. We need to unify. You need to know how to go out there and get your hustle on. You got to still continue to try and kick down those doors with your degrees and try and get those jobs. At some point, you're going to break through. Someone is. Keep trying. But until then, do what you have to do. You have to visit Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So I understand that. Yeah. Lord knows I hustle.
That's the way of the future.
We keep talking about education, but in terms of when I'm bringing up education, I'm talking about in school is we're guiding the kids to what direction they're going to go. It can't be so open. You know, we may have to be, steering them toward this is where industry is going.
Sure.
It's a very technical world.
Absolutely.
And you're gonna
can I keep it real?
And you're gonna forever have to be relearning it.
Yeah. Can I keep it real? I'm gonna be real honest. A lot of the technical skills that you're talking about, a lot of, and I hate to say it, foreigners, they know how to do these things. We've lost that here in America somewhat. If you go Spanish people, they don't go hire a plumber or hire a carpenter because they know how to do it.
Yeah, I get upset when we get upset with them, Jill. Like, I hear a lot of people talking, these foreigners are taking up all the jobs. Cut it out.
You wouldn't do that job?
Cut it out. You didn't want to do the job. You didn't want to do the job. You didn't want to work for $7.50 an hour.
They're happy doing it.
They're happy, yes.
Right.
But to piggyback on what Sean said earlier, though, this was maybe we should have a topic like this in the further future. But at the point where the media and everybody is influencing the children that's in school, saying like, listen, you want to be rich, you want to make money, don't go out and start a business, don't go out and get a job in corporate America, be an athlete, be a celebrity, be an artist, do this and this. So it's like no matter how many good people like us are preaching to the kids, it's not in the public eye as much as the media saying, listen, we congratulate this guy for doing something that 1% of people can make.
Interesting. Man,
I'll tell you what.
That's what I'm talking about. That's conversation, man.
It's a busy night up in BKS1Radio.com, live in the vocal booth.
Woo! Boy, I'm glad Arturo in. Oh, hey, Arturo, what's up, man? I saw you in there. What's going on, man?
Best friend on the mic in the house. Insomniac show coming up next.
Thanking.
Yes, I want to definitely thank our first musical guest of the evening was Rockwell Hallman.
You said Harmon a couple times.
Harmon.
That's my cousin.
I think that was my Martha's Vineyard accent. And definitely our author Sean Hoggs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Stacy for sitting in with us tonight.
Stacy 3.0.
Yes.
3.0.
And it was a
I'm not
wonderful
forget
evening.
Norm over there too.
I don't want to forget Tim Scheider.
Oh, Tim
and,
Scheider,
I would be remiss to forget the general, the CEO, BKS1Radio.com store. Norm was in the house with us tonight. We love to have
Great
him on
show.
I
Saturdays.
heard
That
they got
means
a-
he has no night off this week now.
I heard he got $1 million coming. He about to fire all of us.
So maybe you can,
Outsourced.
He gonna be like, yo, I'm going to Canada, yo.
Actually, no, I do got 2 Japanese hoes coming in. So yeah, Stacy, I don't know. Nah, I'm just kidding.
It's all good. It's all
Outsource.
good.
so maybe you could take us
Yeah.
out on that last one from
Yes.
Rockman.
But before we do that,
We gotta let him know.
gotta let him know.
It's never about us.
No.
It's always about you.
Okay.
Because you are
The next best kept secret, and we out
Love
here.
you.
Forget it.
Stay tuned for your best friend on the mic. This is my man.
DJ Arturo
Insomnia.
coming up.
I'm gonna say if I go anywhere, I'm gonna say, y'all made me